Welcome, everyone. I'm Penny.
I'm Maggie.
So, today we're going to talk about our analog life back in the 1900s, before the digital age. And we'll sort of compare life back then to life now and all the
Yep.
different things that came about in our lifetime,
We
right?
saw a lot of changes,
We did.
didn't we, Penny?
It was
Yeah.
amazing. And, the technology has advanced so quickly. And I love it. I love technology.
Yeah. And us Gen Xers, we had to
Suffer.
evolve.
We
Yeah. We
suffered in
had,
the beginning, right?
well, true, because most the generations after us, they were born into it
Mm-hmm.
already. That
Yeah.
was part of their lives, their entire lives.
Yeah.
But our lives weren't that way in the beginning. They didn't get that way until maybe
Oh, we were adults.
for
Yeah.
us earlier ones, almost 30, I think.
Yeah, we're already
Late 20s,
adults.
early
That's right.
30s by the time we started getting all of this stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
then still, in our 40s into our 50s, we're still getting new stuff in
Mm-hmm.
there. So let's give you all an eye opener for those that can't imagine how life must be without the digital age. What life was like for us.
Mm-hmm.
Let's kick off with the first one, which is real popular. Which
Mm-hmm.
is the first one, Penny?
So it's well, just media like watching TV. We have streaming now, but before we had to rent VHS, DVDs, or go to the movies. And anything that was on TV, if you wanted to watch it, you had to be there at that time.
Yep. And
Yeah.
then for the next episode, you had to wait an entire
Mm-hmm.
week
Yeah. There's no binge
before you knew what
watching.
happened. There is no binge watching. And at the end of the season, you had to wait an entire summer. So if there was a
Yeah.
cliffhanger, you had to wait the whole summertime, didn't you?
Yeah.
And that you remember who shot JR
Right?
from Dallas? Oh my gosh,
Such a
that
big
was like the
deal.
hardest summer ever. And the speculation was
They
crazy.
had t-shirts, they had, all these things. Who shot JR? It was such a big deal.
It was a big deal, and it was a long summer because JR had a lot of enemies. And we're like, we can't imagine. Everybody had a legit reason to
Yeah.
shoot that man.
It's like
And
get in line, right?
get in line. So, who finally had the guts to do it?
Mhm.
You're just going to have to go on Dallas. We're not going to do any spoilers here. We don't
Right.
do spoilers on this show.
I know. I know. And for music too, we used to have 8-track records, then it moved on to
Cassette.
yeah,
Hmm.
the tape cassette, and then um I guess now it's MP3. I guess after tapes, what is there? That's it. Yeah.
Well, we used to do our own mixtapes
Yeah.
too. So instead of having your own playlist from, you know, uh, Spotify or Amazon
Hmm.
or Pandora, and you create your own
Yeah.
playlist, we had to do it manually
Mhm.
by recording off of the radio station
Mhm. Mhm.
if you didn't have it. So if
Right.
you didn't have the song, you created your own set of favorite songs in there.
Yeah.
And if you really like someone, you gave that cassette to
That's
them as a
right.
gift. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, or if you had a double cassette player, that was like a big deal because you could have the song on one and record on the other.
Yes, and that's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
I had one of those,
It was
and I was
painstaking, right? Painstaking.
it was a labor of love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if somebody
It was a
gave you that
labor of love.
type of tape, they loved you so much.
Exactly, because they knew the effort that it took.
Right, right. I know,
They
I
knew the
know.
effort that it took. But you know what? That was also a way that we kept busy
That's true. Because we had all
as
this
well.
time, we had nowhere to go. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah,
It
and
was
we
a
could,
rainy day. That was a perfect
right,
rainy day project.
right. And then we make
Yep.
DVDs now, like a mixtape also. You can,
Hmm.
and then now the MP3 is just you can have like 1,000 songs on one.
Oh, I know. On
It's
a little
crazy.
thingy.
Tiny, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And you can stream it. You don't even have to have it. You can just stream it. Same with books. We don't really
that's
have to
right.
read books now. It is you just stream the book or you listen to the book as you're driving.
Yep. You can do the Audible or you can
Yeah.
do
Can listen to us.
the Kindle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I still do it the old way. I still read a
Really?
book. Yeah.
Oh, I don't like to read books. I think I know what that's from though, because when I was younger, I had such poor eyesight that reading a book was just very difficult for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
so
makes sense. That
yeah,
makes perfect
I think
sense.
that's what it is. Yeah,
It was just a physical struggle.
it was. It was. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, so number two, before we had cell phones and smartphones, there were payphones.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to find a phone, have change. You can't use a dollar bill or
Right.
anything like that and
Or
get change
credit
back,
card.
or credit card. You had to, or even back then in the early thousands, they had those phone cards where you
Yeah,
would put in a code,
that's right.
you
I
know,
remember that. Yeah.
yeah. But before that, it was change.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to use a phone booth somewhere.
That's right.
And when I was a little kid, my mom always uh, had me carry 2 dimes, at least 2 dimes with me
Mm-hmm.
in my pocket in case I needed to make a call.
Yeah, back when it
Because,
was a dime to make a phone call, it went up to
yeah,
25 cents.
then it went up to a quarter.
Yeah.
Um, but you didn't want to use a person's phone because phone bills were expensive. Phone
Yeah.
calls were very
Mm-hmm.
expensive. Local calls, they had a thing called toll calls. There was no 1-800 numbers in.
Yeah, that's right.
So there was no what they call toll free.
Mm-hmm.
By toll free, for those who don't know what toll free is, it's like when you called long distance, you paid the long distance fee,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a fortune. Nobody called each other long distance in
Right.
those days.
It was mail. We just used mail, like,
Use mail.
stamps.
The only time you ever heard from anybody long distance was to tell you that somebody died
Mm-hmm.
in the family. That
Yeah.
was it.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, because mail would be too slow. So that was the only way. There was no
Yeah.
texts,
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no
nothing like
text, no
that.
apps like, third-party apps or no messenger, social media to,
Hmm.
yep, it's
Yep.
crazy.
Yep. So yeah, that's how life was. And to receive a phone call, you had to be there.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
There's no answering
you wouldn't
machine.
connect.
Yeah, there's no
Yep.
answering machine, nothing. Unless
Nope.
someone was home to answer the phone.
If somebody,
Yeah.
yeah, unless somebody was there to answer the
Right.
phone and take an actual message, writing it down on paper,
Mm-hmm.
if they bothered to do that,
Yeah. Yeah.
or they would say, "Hey, so and so called," you know.
Yeah.
So
But sometimes
that
you don't
was
want
it.
them in your business, so you just don't leave a message. I
And
know.
you shared a phone. There was one phone in the house for everybody.
That's right. So if you pick up the phone and people are talking, you either can listen in or you hang up the phone. Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I remember that.
So that was it. Not everybody had their own phones back then. You were rich if you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't know any rich people when we
Right.
were growing up.
I know. And there was no
No.
fax either back then because and then they started using phone lines for fax.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yep.
a whole
And that
other.
was painful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let me tell you. But before that, we didn't know what a fax was when we were growing
Yeah.
up.
Mm-hmm. It didn't exist yet.
Uh,
Yeah.
they called it facsimile. That's what they were
Right. It
called.
was FACIMILE, but now they shorten it to FAX.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's what fax is.
Hmm.
That's the fax. So anyway, what's number three, Penny?
So I spent a lot of my misspent youth at the arcade with all the video games. Miss Pac-Man, there was like Missile Command, Q*bert, all those things.
Yep.
Then, there was Atari, which you could play at home. And that
Hmm.
was a big deal. And then you had some
Yep.
handheld. Now you have games on your phone. It's like, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But when we were less than 10 years old, though, I don't think those existed. Just the
No,
arcade.
they started, I think, when I was in my 20s, probably. The Atari came out and then Nintendo and, all those other
Hmm.
console games. But the arcade was
Yeah,
a lot of fun, too.
it was a lot of fun. You'd meet up with your friends there,
Yeah.
and hang out and
Mhm.
play games all day,
Yeah.
as long as your money didn't run out,
Right,
your
right.
allowance.
I know, I know. And now Costco sells the Miss Pac-Man console.
Oh,
And so
okay.
it's kind of going back, and I'm like, yeah, that would be so cool to have that nostalgic game, like a
Hmm.
physical game in your house.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. So, yeah, no, you didn't stay home all day playing video
Right.
games until the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm.
You went somewhere to play video games.
Yeah, yeah. And if you were looking for somebody, you just walk into the arcade and most likely they're there, like,
Yep.
because there's nothing else for us to really do, right?
Right. That's it. So you were forced to leave the house
Yep,
way back then.
exactly, exactly.
So
And then
if you have other things that we could add to that list, please leave it in the
so
comment
many.
below
Mm,
and also leave us a like and subscribe. So I
yeah.
appreciate that you came over and watched our video and listened to our podcast. And hopefully we get to see you again next time. Thank you. Take
Thank
care.
you. Bye.
Bye.